Hi, my name's Joel Blandisi, and you're listening to History in the Making.
The Montreal Canadiens select.
The Montreal Canadiens are proud to select
Jesperi Kotkaniemi,
Ryan Poehling,
Cole Caulfield.
Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of History in the Making, the official podcast of the Montreal Canadiens, focused on the future of the most storied franchise in pro sports. Our guest this week is none other than the Laval Rocket leading scorer, Joel Bouchard. History in the Making is brought to you by Tricolore Sport, Montreal's official team store. From lifestyle brands to jerseys and beyond, Tricolore Sport has a style for every sports fan in your life. All right, let's get right into it. There's a lot of exciting things happening around. First of all, game on. We're going to see some games in the NHL, but in the meantime, we've been seeing games in the AHL, and we've been seeing some of the premier Canadian prospects finish their career, their pre-pro career, let's put it that way. The Rocket are going great. Right now, they've lost 4 games in regulation of their 20. Their record's like 14-4-1-1. Okay, so there's an overtime loss and a shootout loss in there. But for all intents and purposes, the Laval Rocket are one of the best teams in the AHL. There's no star. That's the fun part. Like right now, Kotkaniemi, Romanov, they could all be in the AHL. Well, we don't have that, and that's great. You want your stars to graduate to the NHL immediately. But what's happening here is we have a collection of really good prospects mixed with veterans and a really strong coaching staff that puts such an onus on the details, on the small things. Not everyone gets to watch Laval Rocket practice. I do. Well, I did. And let me tell you, the intensity is real. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk to Joel Blandisi, who's currently leading them in scoring. But here's why I say currently, and we're going to get into it with Joe. It could change by tomorrow. It could be Ryan Poehling by tomorrow. It could be Jordan. Like there's a whole cast. There's an ensemble. This is absolutely the epitome of a team. So when you get the chance to watch the Rocket, make sure to tune in. But before we get to that, there's some really interesting news for some of the non-pro prospects. So Cole Caulfield finished his NCAA career the way he started, by scoring 2 goals. Unfortunately, he couldn't, his team really couldn't advance further to get to the Frozen Four, but Cole did absolutely everything, in his powers. I think they lost 5-3. He ended up getting 3 points, including 2 goals. He had the highest goals per game ratio, I believe, in D1 for NCAA since they've started counting it, or like at least since the early 90s. So statistically speaking, one of the best goal scorers to ever go through the collegiate ranks. And he signed his entry-level contract. So like everything is happening. This is so exciting. Now, everyone's got, and we're going to fall into it in the prospect mailbag. You guys asked about Cole Caulfield a lot, but here's what I'm going to say. He's going to start in Laval. We don't know how long it's going to last, but let's take a deep breath. Really good player. He needs to wet his toes. So we're going to get into that in just one moment. But other news, Jordan Harris, fantastic year with Northeastern. 6 goals and 13 assists. So you're looking at a point per game, 19 points, 19 games. That's fantastic. Look, 19 points in 19 games would be good for a third year forward in the NCAA. Jordan Harris is a defenseman. He decided to recommit for another year. Now, I understand a lot of people are worried here. One of the things that could happen if Jordan decides is at the end of his collegiate year, there'll be time there, obviously, for the Canadiens to sign him. But he has the option. If he doesn't want to sign, he can become a free agent. Now, it's happened in the past, never to the Canadiens. When it has happened in the past, it's been clear from the get-go what was going to happen. We knew what was going to happen. The relationship soured. That is not the case with Jordan Harris and the Canadiens. You're seeing there's a strong link. They're endorsing each other. Jordan Harris's team, or like, his not his entourage, but like, for example, his mentors and whatnot, approve the message the Canadiens put out. The Canadiens are approving the stuff that Jordan Harris, they're on the same team here. We never want to hold a prospect back from getting his education, to getting that degree. Jordan Harris, from the get-go, the minute he was drafted, knew he wanted to get that degree. So let's applaud him for really doing the smart thing. I think he has a really bright career in the NHL ahead of him. But if not, you get the paper so you can get the paper. Eventually, you need to have a career post-NHL. And Jordan Harris, really smart guy. Education's important. So let's applaud him. Let's applaud the Canadiens too. It's a bit of a difficult situation, but they're maintaining a really good relationship with him. So I have all the faith in the world that he will sign. From what I'm hearing from absolutely everyone, it's not an issue. So let's not stress out about Jordan Harris. Another guy, and we're going to finish our, we went NCAA, now we're going to jump into USHL. Let's just say it, Sean Farrell, nothing left to prove in the USHL. So I think it's mission accomplished, what he did there. a million points in half as many games. He's like really been dominant for the Chicago Steel, set franchise records, if I do remember correctly. The big thing will be next year. We're going to see how he does at Hartford. No, he's not going to play in a mall in Connecticut. He's going to play for Harvard. Slightly different, but we're going to see how he does in the NCAA. That's a huge step up from USHL to the NCAA. It goes from essentially talent to strategy, right? So even just speaking with Jordan Harris at the beginning of the year, I asked him, what's the big jump? He said, like, X's and O's. We didn't know how to do strategy when we came into the NCAA. So that'll be exciting when it comes to Sean Farrell. Now, we're going to get into the mailbag, all the questions about Cole Caulfield. You guys want to know what to expect. Don't expect too much right off the bat. Now, here's what I will say. Cole Caulfield, he'll produce on the power play right away, but Joel Bouchard has a long history of slow playing these things. Now, I don't think he's ever had the talent of a Cole Caulfield joining the AHL, and I don't know how long he'll be in the AHL, but I love the idea of him going there and wetting his toes. First of all, he's going to get a fair amount of ice time, but not right away. I predict the first 2 games, slow and steady. Keep in mind, this guy's played a ton of hockey. He's been, well, I'm not going to say hounded, but there's guys like me calling him up and saying, hey, can you do my interview here and there? Like, he needs to focus on hockey now, just kind of absorb. He's going to get so many things thrown at him here that he's just going to have to be able to focus. And at first, that ice time will take a little bit of, it'll take a little while to build up, but expect goals, expect him to open up passing lanes. One of the great things we saw in the NCAA this year was, even though he knew he had that, like, he has that shot where he can just, pick a corner from anywhere. It's ridiculous. But what he was conscious of is how many passing lanes he's opening and how much goaltenders cheat. The only way to stop a Cole Caulfield shot is to cheat. You have to go over, if you're a goalie, and you have to get either set early or really play the pass first so that, you can play to the pass. Don't play the pass. You're not defensive, play to the pass. So to the receiver of the pass, because when Cole Caulfield gets his stick on that puck, it's going in. That opens up passing lanes. So we saw Caulfield in Wisconsin just do a fantastic job of finding his teammates. So I expect him to do that. Now, I also expect him to really, really not get a dose of reality, but it's going to be intense playing against these guys. Like, he's going to be playing against 30-year-olds. They're going to want to hit him. It's as simple as that. For the rest of his life, Cole Caulfield, guys know that he went in the first round. Guys know that he's one of the best prospects outside the NHL. So, that's a name. So he's going to have to deal with that. Everyone does, but it's part of you have to acclimatize to your surroundings. And that's what Cole Caulfield's going to have to do. I'm not worried about him. He put on a ton of muscle. You saw this year, obviously much more physically mature, but what I want to see from Cole Caulfield is the stuff that you won't see on the ice. I'm going to have to ask Joel Bouchard about it. It's the listening. It's the video sessions. It's the absorbing the information. You have to be open and ready. So really exciting prospect. Let's give him a chance to breathe. Deep breaths. But I'm expecting really good things from Cole Caulfield. I don't know how long he'll be in the AHL. I don't suspect it to be for long, but you're adding Cole Caulfield to one of the best teams in the AHL. And it's funny because I keep saying the Laval Rocket don't really have any superstars. Well, you're about to add one for however long it may be. So that is very exciting. In the meantime, we'll be right back with our guest, the leading scorer, possibly Cole Caulfield's future line mate, Joseph Blandisi. Did you know the Canadiens will be wearing their new reverse retro jerseys? Of course, you've seen them in action. They are gorgeous. They're beautiful. You want one? You can get them right now at tricolorsport.com. Gear up and get yours today. And we're back with this week's guest, the Laval Rockets leading scorer, Joe Blandisi. Joe, how's it going?
Going good. So far, so good. Just finishing up with our road trip here, and we're excited to get back home.
Okay, we're going to get to how dominant you guys were in that road trip and how dominant you've been, but I have a few important things to ask you. First of all, how nice is it not have to deal with the media every morning after practice? That must be fun, right?
Yeah, it's quiet at the rink. It's always fun having extra people in the dressing room, but this year it's quiet, but I think we're using it to our advantage in a way. We're just focusing on what we can do, and it gives us more time to talk game plan and talk strategies and things like that. So I think the coaches probably like it too. It gives them a lot more time with us to do videos and singular types of stuff. So I think, like I said, we miss you guys, but we're taking advantage of you not being here for sure.
So you miss us, but you don't want us to rush back too quickly. Is that?
Oh, it's working without you guys right now. So
fair enough. Okay. I get that. And I absolutely understand. The second, and this is the most important one, Have you indulged in poutine yet? Because I mean, Joe, you look at me, I've obviously indulged in poutine. Have you gone down the poutine road yet?
I don't know if I've gone down to Poutine Road, but me and my roommate, we get poutine once or twice a week when we're at home for sure. And we've been trying some different spots, Poutineville. There's another couple spots near our apartment, so it's perfect. We're trying the different spots to see who's got the best one.
Okay, so you're quickly becoming a Montrealer. You have to try ma poule mouillée. It's this Portuguese chicken. It comes in the poutine. It's delicious. But now let's get to the hockey. You've kind of found your rhythm here, Joe. I want to talk about how good the Laval Rocket have been, but you yourself, I mean, right from the get-go, as soon as you arrived in Laval, obviously the season got cut short. I think it was 4 points in 4 games. This year, the leading score. What's the secret sauce? Why are you playing so well since you've arrived to Laval?
I think just the opportunity I've been getting. The coaching staff's been great with me ever since I got here. I'm sure my roomie would agree with that. Ever since we came from Pittsburgh, it's been great for us here. We've been winning. The team won a lot last year when we got here. I think we went 7-1 in the 8 games that we were here. And now this year, again, we're off to a pretty good start. So I think the opportunity that the staff has given me, the resources that are in front of me, I'm taking advantage of. And obviously I'm working hard as well. So it feels good to have established quite a big role on this team, and the fact that we're winning, it makes everybody look good, so it's exciting.
How has it been in terms of your off ice? Because obviously we know you played for a few teams here and there. It seems like you've kind of really found your role here. How has it been establishing yourself in a new city? Like, how has it been to just get your head straight throughout all this? So many things have changed. How have you been able to maintain focus?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to focus on, to be honest with you right now. I think when we had our time off, that long 9 months or 10 months, whatever it was, there wasn't much to focus on. There wasn't much going on in the world. So it was just time to get better for me, workouts, skating, stuff like that. So with the long training period, I think I tried to take as much advantage of it as I could. And I think it's paying off this year. And then even around Montreal, we're not really allowed to do much. So it's hard to see guys when you're away from the rink. We're only really allowed to see each other when we're at the rink, and we're not allowed to go to restaurants or things like that. So I think just with that, the distractions are limited, and we're able to focus on our game.
So in a sense, hockey has become not a savior, but I mean, it's really helping. You're not the first guy to tell me this, that they've essentially just kind of thrown themselves entirely in hockey right now. Is that the case for you?
Yeah. I mean, we're dedicating ourselves to the game for this year. It's been 4 months. We're in a bubble, so to speak. So it's not easy. I mean, we'd love to go sit on a patio and have some drinks with the guys, but we're not allowed to do that. We got a little lounge at the hotel where we're allowed to hang out with each other, but when we're at home, we're not allowed to see each other at all away from the rink. So in that sense, it's been a little different this year, a little hard, a little lonely, but like I said, I have a roommate, so that makes things a lot better. And it's good to have my dog down there as well.
In the meantime, we're lucky. We get to talk about hockey, and we get to talk about the Laval Rocket. I mean, like, why are you guys so good? Even in the losses, I remember there was one game, I think you guys lost 5-1. It was one of the 4 games you've lost this year. You outshot them by like 30 shots. Tell me why the Laval Rocket are so darn good.
I think it started in training camp for us. We got in shape right away. We had a month and a half, and we really took advantage of it. We got everybody involved. We got everybody in shape and ready for the season. I think we knew we were going to have stretches like this where we play 8 games in 15 nights. So we knew we wanted to be ready for it. And I think it's paid off for us. I think everybody's on the same page. The strategies and the game plans that the coaches are giving us, everybody's buying into it. So I think anytime you get all the guys in the team, especially this year, we have a huge roster as well. So there's 35 players that we've used, I think, this far, and everybody's pulling the rope the same direction. There's not one guy that's on his own page, and I think you can see it on the ice. Because obviously, for those that don't know, you arrived later in this season last year. Like we said earlier, you played a handful of games, and I believe there's a slight injury thing there. What was your first impression of Joel Bouchard as a coach? Like, did you know about him coming into it? And tell me your first impression of your first practice with the Laval Rocket. Yeah, I mean, the first practice was a little more intense than the practices I've had previously. But I think it's good. He wants hard workers. He establishes the foundation early and often, and he harps on the little details as much as he can. We have certain things that we focus on, 4 or 5 things that everybody's doing, and it makes us a pain in the ass to play against. So I think everybody's buying into what Joel is offering, and it's been great ever since I've gotten here. He's been great to me. I've developed quite a good relationship with him. I've been able to talk to him over the summer and over the COVID as well. And obviously I was upset at the time. When are we going to play? And frustrated. When can we get back? And he's always there to talk you off the ledge, so to speak. So I think just anytime for me personally that I can develop a relationship with a coach, like a friendship, and that helps me. And I think it's helping him with us as well.
What is it? Because that's perfect. That dives right into what I wanted to speak about, that relationship with Bouchard. It doesn't work with every player. Let's be honest, it never works all the time with every human when it comes to interactions. But for the most part, guys like you'll just say like, hey man, like he works. He seems to have just this little something. What is it about Joel Bouchard that opens up discussions, that opens up honesty and all that fun stuff that we're hearing about from all the players?
I think it's just passion. I think, like, obviously if you're going to get to this level playing hockey, you're a passionate player and you want to do well. So I think when he shares that same passion with all of us, he loves being around the guys. He loves the big wins. He'd rather win 2-1 than 5-0. He'll be more happy when we grind a win out and block shots at the end of the game, things like that. So I think even after last night's game, we had a couple injuries. You could tell he wasn't in his normal self after the game. We got to 2 points, but it was a loss for us in a way. So, but that 1-0 game, he came in the room firing after the game, and he was excited about that one. So I think just his passion, it's contagious. It makes everybody want to be involved. It makes everybody want to buy in. And when you see your coach wants you guys to do so well, then it can't help it, but you want yourselves to do well as well.
I know I sat and I watched those practices, and I intensely ate a breakfast sandwich while you guys intensely skated. But I mean, obviously that preparation goes a long way in frustrating your opponents, right?
Yeah, and he's relentless on the details. There's certain things that he wants to have done. For example, stick on puck. He doesn't want you finishing a check with your stick in the air, and he'll point you out, he'll call you out, and you'll be in the video if you're not doing it properly. And then over time, now you see everybody sticks down. Now we're turning pucks over on the forecheck. We got good sticks in our defensive zone, breaking up plays. And like, it's usually 3 mistakes that cost a goal, but we're not really making those 3 mistakes anymore. I mean, if we make 1, the second guy will make up for it. If we make 2, the third guy's got your back. So I think if we just focus on our details and keep doing the little things right, that we're tough to break down as a team.
Yeah, and the perfect example of that stick down is Jordan Wheel in that, the game winner against Manitoba. That was a stick down forecheck. So those details for the kids listening, yeah, it's a lot to absorb, but those details are what end up turning games. Get your Petrie jersey right now at tricoloresport.com, where you can find the brand new gorgeous reverse retro jerseys. That's tricoloresport.com for all your future Norris Trophy winner Jeff Petrie memorabilia needs. Now, I would like to know, what's the vibe in the locker room this year? Okay, so first of all, you're in a restaurant when you're at the Bell Center.
They've done a great job. Yeah, the equipment staff have done an amazing job with our dressing room. It's phenomenal in there. We are in a restaurant, but you can't even really tell we're in a restaurant. We got our players spot, we got our video spot, we got the training tables in there, so everything's there. We got everything we need, and then we get to play at the Bell Center as well. So I think the guys were excited with that. We got a younger group too, so these guys are playing in a big building for the first time. It's hard not to get excited about it. I think our first practice, 6 or 7 of the young guys stayed out for another hour and a half after practice. And Joel actually made a joke the next day that we got fined by the league because the Zambonis weren't able to get on the ice in time and things like that. So it said, like, we're going to be in the rink all year. You don't have to enjoy it all in one day. So it's exciting.
What's it like to have, it is a fairly young team. You have guys like Jan Mysak that just, very, very young. He could be in the, you could be in junior. Caden Gooley went back to junior. Jenny Fairbrother went back to junior. You have a ton of guys that are 26 and under, really young roster. What's it like? Is it, usually we talk about leadership. Right now, Alex Belzil isn't even there. So what's it like to be on such a young roster?
It's great. It's exciting. You see the guys come with great attitudes every day. They're excited to be at the rink. It's their first year playing pro hockey, and it's a fun year for them. And now the fact that we're winning, obviously the dressing room's a happy place to be. The coaches are buddy with everybody. It's a great environment to be a part of. It's really is a team and a brotherhood in our dressing room right now. If somewhere from outside were to come in our dressing room, you wouldn't be able to tell who the young guys are and the old guys are. Everybody's treated as equals, and it's great chemistry we have, really.
The only way you could tell at practice who the new guys were was because they were always lagging behind, when you do the sprints at the end there. So that was my only way I could tell, because, the numbers were so small there. So I'm like, okay, that's clearly a new guy. Now, let's go back a little bit. You've been traded. I want to talk about, I was speaking to Veilleux not too long ago, and he was saying, when you get traded from the team that drafts you, it really feels like you lose your safety net, that you hit that point in your career where you're like, okay, where do I go here? Because they invested a lot in you. How was that for you? Can you explain the process? And obviously, it's not a fun experience, but it's something that athletes go through all the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. You get your whole life flipped upside down. And like I said, for me personally, I like developing relationships everywhere I go and friendships and things like that. So when you get one phone call and you got to leave all that stuff behind and start fresh, it's not easy. And especially for me with the dog and stuff like that, it's hard to navigate all the little plans to get him around everywhere and things like that. But you have people around you helping you out along the way. And like I said, when I came here, it was nothing but comfortability right off the hop. It was my first game, my third shift in, where I actually got injured when I came here last year. And so that didn't feel good for me right away. I'm like, what are these guys going to think of me? Like, all of a sudden I come here, they're going to think I don't want to be here because I get hurt in my third shift. It's like I almost faked it, but nobody said anything, and I was able to get back in a week and a half and get back to my game, and it's all good. So
let's talk about that whole getting injured when you're, obviously, you have your eyes on the NHL. Everyone on your team has your eyes on the NHL. How do you maintain focus on the AHL while vying for that NHL spot? Because I mean, once in a while, I'm sure, especially, and you're playing at the Bell Center right now, right? So once in a while, do you kind of get distracted, or is it easy to focus on the AHL?
I think that's something I learned now that I'm in my sixth year pro. My first couple of years, I'm always waiting for my phone to ring. Like, what do I got to do to get a call up? What do I got to do to get a call up? And I don't think that's the right way of thinking. I think if you just worry about what you can control, then the uncontrollables will happen for you. So I think this year I've just been focusing on my game, not really worried about when that phone call is going to come or if it comes at all. I just want to be the best player I can be and help the team win as many games as I can. And it's working out so far. Things are happening for me, and the team's winning. So I think the less you worry about that stuff that you can't control, the better it is for you as a player mentally, especially.
It's funny because that's the same thing. Most of the guys that end up in the big show will say, like, listen, I worried about it at first, but that did nothing, right? You can't focus on it.
It'll eat you up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, but you're in an interesting situation because, again, okay, so you're the leading scorer for one of the best teams in the AHL. Obviously, you're putting up points constantly, but you could also act like a little bit of a mentor for some of these younger guys, right? Like, how do you describe your role for the Laval Rocket this season?
Yeah, I think I've taken on a pretty good leadership role this year, and I'm pretty excited about that. I think even in juniors, I was a leader on most of the teams I played on. I wore an A in San Diego and Wilkes-Barre as well. So I think just with the amount of NHL games I had, it's good for the young guys to see that, like, even though I have that many games, I'm still here and I'm still in the same league as them, and I haven't cracked it full time yet, but I'm still working at it. And like, for example, Jan, I'm 8 years older than Jan, but me and him are working for the same job in the NHL, and he's 18 and I'm 26, but we're both going to the rink every day and working just together and working hard to make each other better. So I think I'll get questions from time to time from the young guys. So that tells me that they probably look at me as a leader, so to speak. So I think it's exciting for me, and it's fun to watch these young kids come up and they want to learn and they're eager to learn and they want to get better, and they're great players too, and great kids as well.
What do you tell them? Like, let's say Jan Mysak comes to you and he's like, Joe, like, how do I score in the, like, what do they ask you, and what do you tell them as like your general advice for guys that are just cracking the league? Maybe some advice that you would have liked to give to a young Joe Blandisi.
Yeah, exactly. I think just from experience coming into the AHL, I don't know how it would feel being 18 years old. I was 20 years old when I came in. So I'm expecting he's even more intimidated than me. So I just try and my leadership style, fill them with confidence, make them believe in themselves. They're here for a reason. So you got to showcase that. And I think just with the team winning, they realize that they're helping the team win as well. And they're bringing stuff to the table, and everybody's a part of it. I know Jan's on the power play now. You see, yes, he's on our first unit on the power play as well. And he's got a bomb back there. So we're using the young guys. You got HP that's playing all sorts of special teams. So we're using the young guys, and the coaches are filling them with confidence. And that's what the leadership group's doing as well.
Let's talk about them in specific. Okay, we already talked about Jan a little bit. Obviously, really young guy. I mean, just crazy that he's already playing in the AHL. But what about Ryan Poehling? He's a guy who faced a lot of criticism last year, including, I mean, part of my job was to go down there and criticize him. What are you seeing in his game this year? From the outside, I'm seeing a guy who's found his confidence and maybe realizing that we were a little impatient. What are you seeing? You play with him. You obviously interact with him. What are you seeing from a development point from when it comes to Ryan Poehling?
He's taken a huge step in his game this year, 100%. I think obviously he scored 3 goals in his first NHL game, and that's all glitz and glamour at the time. But I think if you're a player and you know how it all works, could have been the worst thing for him, because now the expectations are that high and everybody expects him to do that every night. But it's not like that. It's a hard league, and especially he's 21 years old. Like, he's young too. So it takes time to learn. It takes time to grow as a pro. And I think he's doing it quickly. And like, he's still young. Like you said, it was his second year pro. So he's doing great. He's a big part of our team. He's logging a lot of minutes for us, and he's being consistent every night. And I think whenever you can find consistency in a young player, that's going to make for a good pro for a long time. So I think the future's bright for Ryan.
I also think the future's bright for one of the newcomers that you were talking about, 20 years old, Jesse Ylönen. Obviously, he had some European experience, but man, this guy's picking up the North American game pretty quickly, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a strong kid. He's mature for his age. He does the little things. He's got a heavy shot, and he's really creative. You can see that creativity every time he gets on the ice. He's always trying to make plays. He's got his head up at all times. It's almost like he's not intimidated by the league at all. He's got that confidence, and he struts his stuff every day. And I think the coaching staff has given him that ability. And like, you put him on the power play right away, and he's able to start running right out of the gate. So maybe if you take those minutes away at the start and he gets down on himself early, maybe we don't get this Yessie out of him. But right now he's in a great spot, and it was a tough loss for him to get hurt last night.
And yeah, what a shot. I mean, I was thinking this guy's all skating, but he's got that just a heck of a shot. Now let's talk about a guy who's maybe a little less finesse, but a little more high tempo. You mentioned him earlier, Rafael Harvey-Pinard. Does he remind you of a certain Montreal Canadien by any chance, of a guy currently playing for the Canadiens?
Yeah, he loves to go to the net front, and he's always under everybody's skin. He's in the dirty areas. He doesn't fear anybody either. He plays a good, mature game as well. He's hard on pucks. He gets pucks out on the wall. He takes hits to make plays. It's honestly amazing that in their first year that these guys can bring as much as they're bringing to the table. I know I wasn't like that in my first year, and the coaches are harping on me for my details, but these guys, they do the little things right at a young age, and that's a good recipe for success in the future for sure.
So let's go back to that real quick. You said that maybe you weren't was it maybe not focused on the details at first, or maybe you weren't ready at first? Was that on you? Was that an organization thing? Did you kind of just coast on talent? What was it that made you realize, okay, I have to maybe double up my effort here?
Yeah, I think I didn't really, even playing junior, I didn't focus much on my defensive play. I was able to cheat in certain areas, and I'd end up with 2 or 3 goals in a game. So nobody noticed that I was on for 2 as well. But when you get to pro and now you're cutting corners in certain spots that you shouldn't be able to, you're going to get burned for it. And I wasn't putting up 2-3 goals a game my first year. The points are hard to come by at the pro level, but then I was still getting 2 goals against, 3 goals against a night. So it wasn't a good recipe for me, but I think that's probably the biggest improvement I've made throughout my career. And I think you see that I'm on the defensive units, big part of the penalty kill on at the last minute of every game. So I think that's probably an area I specialize in now, but I had to learn that the hard way for sure.
Did Bouchard ever do one of his classic yell / like he cares when he yells at you there at practice for not giving her?
Yeah, I think I had to learn this before him. I started focusing on my defense before him. And I think it was my first coach, Rick Kowalski in Albany. We couldn't believe what I was doing my first couple games. And I'm like, but this is what I used to do. This is how I scored 50 goals last year.
And you were getting points too, right? With Albany, weren't you like a point per game?
Yeah, so I was getting points with Albany, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the defensive end that I wasn't sharp on, and it wasn't going to help me stick in the NHL. So I think just throughout the last 5-6 years, I've really harped on my defense and focused on that. Watch a lot of video of places to be and how to get in the right areas to get a good stick on guys, and try not to take as many penalties as I can. So
you talked about video right there. One of the things that Joel Bouchard prides himself, and it's not just Joel, I think we need to give a little more credit to the entire coaching staff here, right? You guys are surrounded by so many good guys. Obviously, you lost Alex Burrows, but you still, Daniel Jacob is still there, and you just, there's just so many people there to help you. Have you done a lot of video breakdowns with Joel? I know he loves doing those, and he maybe likes doing them a little more than anyone else. Have you done one of those sit-down video strategies with Joel Bouchard yet?
Yeah, I mean, we do video every day. We got lots of video every day. We look at the other teams, what they're doing on their special teams as well. I think that's something that we take pride in, is being prepared for games. Like he says, every day the game starts the night before the actual puck drops. So I think we're prepared every night. And I think it's maybe a little easier on the coaches this year that we're playing 4 games against the same team every single night. So we can kind of cram that video in at the beginning of the week and then dwindle it off towards the end of the week, because playing the same system every night. So I think it's gone good. I was actually surprised when we lost Burr. There was a little down in the dressing room. We knew we were going to miss him, right, but it didn't really affect us. And Dan picked up the slack. Dan run the power play and the penalty kill now. And I guess he's got double duty, but they're both doing a great job, Dan and Joel. And Burr, while he was here, we do miss him for sure. We loved working with him, but that's the goal for everybody that's in this league, is to make that next jump to the next week. So to the next league. So we're happy for him, and we're hoping that we can all follow in his footsteps.
Dan Jacob taking over the power play. Were you a little shocked at first? Like, hey, this is a guy that's always done the defensive side of things. He's been a defenseman. It's kind of working out. How quickly did he adapt to taking over power play duties?
I think he comes off as a smart, educated man. He knows the ins and outs to the game. He's really technical with this video, and just you can have a conversation with him and you can tell he's intelligent. So I think just with that and the demeanor he brings across everybody, we believe in what he's preaching, and everybody's following it to a T. And now you're starting to see the power plays starting to clip.
Obviously, this has been a condensed season. It's been a crazy season. You guys are dominant. Let's just face it. Do you guys feel like you're a dominant team right now?
Yeah. We do. We're confident. We're going into every game expecting to win. So I think whenever you get that attitude in the dressing room, I think we got the advantage before the game even starts with our confidence. And I think personally that teams are fearing us as well. I think we go into places and teams are thinking, oh God, we got to play them for 4 games. This is so I think anytime you get a relentless group that's stick to their structure like we do, and we're a tenacious group. So anytime you get everybody pulling the rope, like I said, in the same direction and everybody on the same page, it's tough to compete with when you're the other team, and we wear teams down. Like you can see, maybe some teams will hang around for 1 or 2 periods, but by the 3rd period, the floodgates will open. Or even the other night or last night, 3-1, we're down, and then we're worried about, we're not really worried about it in between periods. We know that's the message that Joel sent between periods. We're going to get our chances. We're going to get our chances to tie a game. Just be ready for them when they come. And we were ready, and little do you know, we pull out a win. So
it was, let me guess, in between periods, the classic Joel, you were losing, and he stayed incredibly calm, right? He just said, keep doing it.
Yeah. Keep doing more of the same. We've had success for the last 2 weeks doing the same thing. Don't stray away from it now. We didn't, and it worked for us.
Perfect. So, I mean, I guess we could finalize this by saying you kind of found, I wouldn't want to say a home, but you found a pretty darn good situation with Laval and hopefully Montreal in the long run. But that whole relationship, and obviously it stems from your openness too, right? To change. How difficult is it as a guy that, I mean, you've played in the NHL, you scored goals in the NHL. How difficult is it to get to that point and have a coach say like, hey, I'm going to change the way you play now? Because I'm sure Joel told you a few things he didn't like. How difficult is that to absorb as a player?
Yeah, I mean, you got to adapt. Like the coaches, they make you as much as you make them. If you don't get along with your coach, you're not going to have success in this business for a long time. So I think obviously there's coaches along the way that I didn't get along with as well as I could have. But I think that Joel's system and the way he coaches and just the type of player I am, I'm not good. I'm not skilled enough to not work hard. So I think anytime I don't work hard, my skill will never come out. But if I'm working hard, which he likes, and then he'll give you a leash too. If you're working hard and you're making mistakes, he's not on your back. It's when you're slacking off and now you're turning the puck over and doing things that are lazy and you're not working to get back into position. So I think he trusts that me personally, I'm giving my best effort every night. And that's why he gives me a little bit of a leash, and I'm able to make mistakes without him breathing down my neck because he knows I'm trying my best.
Well, the work ethic clearly stands out, Joe, but I'm going to disagree with you with the whole not talented thing. I mean, you are the leading scorer of one of the best teams in the AHL. So I'm going to go ahead and say there is a lot of talent there that, I mean, we're seeing it, but it's not individuals this year, right, Joe? Like, I mean, let's close this out. The Laval Rocket are the epitome of a full team effort, right?
Yeah, you say the leading scorer, but I think within a day that can change by 3
it
points.
Could be Jordan tomorrow.
There's 5 or 6 of us that are right there. So yeah, tomorrow someone else can lead the way, but I think that's just it. We got 4 lines that can score and produce points, and everybody's bringing consistency every single night. So there's not one guy that's like you got to get him on the ice the whole time. It's a group effort. Both power play units are scoring, and it's a different guy every night who's the hero. So
you heard it here. The current leading scorer of the Laval Rocket. It may change tomorrow. Joe Blandisi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth, Joseph Blandisi. You know, it's funny when you say, hey, man, you're leading scorer here. You're doing really good. And he throws it right back. It's a team thing. And he's right. But, you know, in the next couple of days, he might not be the leading scorer there. But that's the beauty of a Joel Bouchard coach team. You're going to have contributions from all over. And I think we're seeing right now, it's not just Blandisi, we're seeing Wheel too. Yeah, they're producing, but you go down the list of players after them. You have Ylönen, Videmo, Josh Brook, Ryan Poehling. Like, these are guys that were drafted and that are finally, like, essentially the whole revamp of the AHL is starting to bear fruit. It's really exciting. So thank you to Joseph Blandisi for joining us. As per usual, thank you guys for joining us. Next week, we're going to be alternating. Ça va être en français. L'histoire s'écrit. And these podcasts are available wherever you are able to download them. Don't forget to rate it, subscribe, like all those things that people yell at you on the internet. I'm not great at that, but go ahead and do that. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you do not like. And we will see you next week. Go Habs, go.